Hello, everyone. Welcome back to The Flow. This is a podcast where we aim to learn and spread awareness of the lethal effects of period poverty, which is a public health crisis that affects hundreds of thousands of people around the world. Follow along on our journey as we go with the flow.
All right, so starting off, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
I can, yeah. My name's Tina Leslie. I founded Freedom4Girls, the period poverty charity in the UK. Around about 5 or 6 years ago, I started it as a small project in Kenya.
Oh, wow.
And then it grew to a bigger project in the UK. And we also cover Uganda now as well. So, as in period poverty, or menstrual equity, as we call it, it's anybody who doesn't have access to safe period products or menstrual products
What
for
made
whatever reason.
what made you want to get involved with period poverty?
I think, well, I'll tell you a little bit of a story. So, when I was 11 years old, I started my period, which was a long, long time ago. And I was in the UK, they do exchange trips. So I had a French exchange trip. So I was going to France, and I was going across in the Channel on a boat, the English Channel, and I was going to stay with a family. And on the boat, I started my period, my very, very first period, in the English Channel when I was 11 years old. Couldn't speak a lot of French at all. And I was also staying with a boy who had three brothers and no sisters. And it was a case of having to spend a week using toilet paper, um, thinking that I'm leaking everywhere and sleeping on the floor because I didn't want to ruin the beautiful French sheets. So years and years later, I I helped with a project in Kenya, and I found another project, not a period poverty project, and I found that 60% of girls and women in Kenya do not have access to safe menstrual period protection. So, and I remembered back to when I was 11. I mean, I was 50 then, and I remember back like it was yesterday what it was like for that week. And I just thought, you know what, I have to work on this. This is why I've been put on this earth, to tackle period poverty, because it's just, girls were missing school, up to 5 days of school every month. They were using unhygienic things to manage their periods, especially over in Kenya, things like that. They were using ash, dung, bits out of their mattresses. They were using leaves, corn husks, anything they could get their hands on. So I thought, you know what, this is what I need to work on. So that's what started me.
Wow, that's your story of being 11, that really led you later in life to just kind of find your purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. um, yeah, I mean, I actually, my day job is in public health as well, which is quite interesting. I mean, this is again a lot of years later. I was so in public health, it is a public health crisis, really. But it's really interesting that public health, where I work, they have nothing to do with me whatsoever. They they just let me get on with it, even though as part of my job I could do a whole week, a whole week's worth of work and work on period poverty, but they don't let me because it's run by men.
Yeah.
And the only negative things I've ever had are from men, as you would know. you know
Of course.
when I brought in 2017, when I brought UK period poverty to the worldwide attention, by going on this really it's called Woman's Hour. It's a UK program, and it's so I went on there and talked about period poverty because after a few years of working in Kenya, um, a colleague of mine who worked in a school rang me up and said, hi Tina, I know what you do in Kenya, but I have 5 girls in this school in the UK down the road who aren't coming to school because one, their parents can't afford it, two, they daren't ask their mum for any money because they know they can't, they wouldn't have any. there's a girl here that's had a period for 2 years and she didn't even know what it was. And they, girls are using socks and bits of t-shirt and things like that to manage their periods. So it was like, okay, I'm doing my Kenya project, I now need to do this. And through a series of events, I was on like radio stations and all over the world it went. It's really interesting that third world and developing countries throughout the world have had period poverty forever, and I presume we have as well. But it just so happened that because we were a developed country, the sixth biggest economy in the world, and we had period poverty, the just worldwide attention. I mean, it was a good thing and it was a bad thing really, but it did bring the attention to around the subject, and it sort of took off since then, I think, really. So I'm quite proud of what, that I've stood up and said, this is the issues. And in fact, the day after I went on this radio program, I got hauled into the chief executive's office of public health and asked what I was doing. What do you think you're doing? And what do you mean, what am I doing? Well, there's a process. I went, yes, there's a process, but this isn't a process, this is an issue. He went, no, there's a process. I said, you've got a problem with the subject, not the process. He went, no, I haven't. I went, well, why am I sat here then? So yeah, he was quite embarrassed about it.
That's really cool that you like were put like on display like that. Like that was really so we contacted you like initially last year before the whole lockdown started. And then everything kind of shut down. How would you say the pandemic has affected your organization?
Well, we haven't. Well, we do product delivery, we do education, we do all that sort of thing. We do workshops and everything like that. So we just had to be very innovative, because we knew. I mean, in lockdown, I don't know if you knew, but when everything got locked down here in the UK, people were buying things like it was going to be a nuclear war any minute now. And actually, there's a massive issue around toilet paper, but there was also a massive issue around period products. People were buying period products like enough till their menopause. It was ridiculous. And yeah, there was a little bit of an issue with delivering them, but we had to be really innovative. And so we deal with a lot of organizations, frontline organizations, and also communities. So we had, what we did is, and obviously, people were what we call furloughed here, so they were only getting 80% of their salary. A lot of people had lost their jobs. There's a lot more people needing period products. So what we did is we contacted organizations and community leaders and said, look, if you need period products, we will be able to help you and still deliver them to you, but we're going to have to do it in a different way. So what we'd do is, so some women in the communities, like we would go and drop like a box of period products off. They would then leave them in bags, outside their gate, hung on their gate, and then text everybody and say, look, do you want, the period products have arrived, come and get them, or they would go deliver them to their door. But we went from delivering 500 packs a month to 2,000 packs a month in lockdown. It's 5 times. It was ridiculous, because there were so many people need. Oh, hang on, what's happened here? Sorry, that pressed the button by accident. So yeah, it went ridiculously. The need for period products was massive. So yeah, we just had to find innovative ways to do it during the pandemic, and we're still doing it now. And we're still in a lockdown over here, and we're still delivering products. We had an issue with so many people were buying them that there was actually they couldn't produce them fast enough. So there was a bit of an issue at one point where we were going to run out, but we didn't, so which was really good. And people sent us them, and we do sewing workshops as well. So obviously every month we had sewing workshops, so making washable reusables for Kenya. So obviously the workshop couldn't happen, so we had ladies in the community still sewing for us, but we would deliver the materials to them and things like that. So that was really great. We do a education. Obviously, the schools were closed for quite a while, but we're now starting up doing Zoom education calls as well. So yeah, it changed dramatically with the increase of period poverty as lockdown as gone on longer and longer and longer. We are going to do. We've always wanted to do like an environmental period products, and so we've had donated a lot of menstrual cups, washable reusables, and period pants. So we're going to start a big campaign around making the switch. So making the switch from one-use products to environmentally friendly reusables. Oh. So we're going to do that. So because they are really expensive, and people who can't afford them, so we're going to do a campaign where people can, write into us or email us, and we can send them either the pants or a cup or a pack of reusables. So yeah, it has it's really changed the way we've worked really, but we've worked with a lot more people, which is really interesting. We've got a lot more insight into culturally diverse communities. So where we are in Leeds, in West Yorkshire, it's massive culturally diverse communities. Over 180 different nationalities live here. So yeah, and usually disproportionately affected as well by period poverty. So people, are low paid workers and things like that who are struggling anyway. So yeah.
Yeah, if because we know that period poverty is such a huge issue, and around the world, 2.3 billion people suffer from period poverty. If it and I mean, that would be considered a pretty urgent issue and kind of like an emergency, but it's not. Like, it is not talked about very much. Why do you think that is? Why do you think period poverty is not such an urgent issue?
I suppose it isn't. I mean, it is an urgent issue to people who are suffering it, and it is a public health issue, and it's a major issue. I thought it was about 800 million actually who suffered period poverty, not 2 point. Where did you get that from? 2.3 billion.
And UNICEF.
Right.
Yeah, I remember I saw that too, and I was like, "Is that right?" Like, I didn't believe that that was correct, but it is 2.3
Right.
billion.
Okay. I thought it was 800 million, but maybe it's gone up. So, sorry, what was the question?
Oh,
Sorry.
no, it's okay. No, just I mean, it's a problem, it's an issue, it's like an emergency, and people who are experiencing period poverty need help, and they need period
Absolutely.
products, and they need a lot of resources, but they're not being supplied with them because it's not like making any kind of news. People aren't talking about it. And why do you think that is? Why do you think it doesn't get the attention that it needs?
I think there's still a massive stigma and taboo around periods. Massive. People don't talk about it. If men had periods, we wouldn't be even talking about this now, would we? At the end of the day, we wouldn't be talking about it. It's a cultural thing where people don't talk about it within cultures. Religious issues. I think it has been talked about a lot more in the last 5 years since I've been doing period, since I, like started working on it, you know, um, and again, I think part of it is to do with who rules the country, who makes the decisions, about policy and, and procedures and, health issues, normally proportionately they are men. And and I think that's the issue. And if you look at the statistics, the more women who have access to menstrual products within a country, the GDPR of that country is higher. So because obviously women are a lot of the time breadwinners, but if they can't manage their periods, they can't go to work, they suffer. So I think that is the issue. I think men, again, we need to be educating men and boys from a very early age. And I think, to cut that stigma, to cut that taboo, to really push the agenda forward and get policies within countries. A lot of countries talk about it. A lot of countries have said, we will provide products for girls in schools. We do here in the UK. We sort of campaign to get every school in the UK access to period products, which we did, but it was an opt-in and not an opt-out. So basically, the school had to apply for the products. Now only 40% of the schools, I think, have applied for them. So instead of, so yeah, that's an issue. I remember in Kenya, again, they said all schools will get period products. They didn't. We deal with a lot of schools in Kenya, and they've never even had one product, even though the government has said so. A lot of corruption goes on as well. Unfortunately, money is diverted elsewhere. At the moment we have a global pandemic. That's a lot of resources that would have gone elsewhere have gone into coronavirus. So again, I suppose period poverty has moved down, the pecking order almost. But yeah, I think we still need to be educating, talking about it like we talk about the weather. Well, the English people do anyway. We talk about the weather all the time. But we need to be talking about periods and a lot more.
Yeah, like New Zealand, for example, led by a woman, period products, I believe they were made free?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Scotland as well. Yeah, Scotland as well.
Oh,
it's run by Nicola Sturgeon. She's and what she's done, which is quite interesting really, is actually put the onus on businesses. So if you're working, they have to, if you're a business, it's like providing your toilet paper and your hand sanitizer in the toilet, in a women's toilet at work. Why not provide period products,
Right. Yeah, and it's the kind of thing that like a woman would think about, because like like you said, like yeah, like it's like men are like kind of like, I feel like men are kind of like grossed out by it and they don't want to talk about it, but women are like, like for like New Zealand, for example, I mean, like their prime minister is a woman and she was like, yeah, here, have it, like, like
absolutely.
I think that's kind of where we need to start, is like getting like female perspectives into like office, like politicians and people.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we need to change policy. We need, we need to we need to put we need to put education in policies around periods, and not just a medical thing, everything. I once did a speech in Dublin in Ireland, and around period poverty and things like that. And there was this medical student who stood up and said, do you know what? She said, we, all through our medical career, or, in being a medical student, we get one slide on menstruation. So even doctors don't know. It takes up to 8 years to get diagnosed with endometriosis and things like that. So massive, issues. But there's more money spent on erectile dysfunction than there is on, millions more on issues, around periods like endometriosis, PCOS, that sort of thing. So actually
or no, I think that kind of like what you said earlier, like, oh well, if men were the ones getting periods, like maybe like it would still be, I think that if men were the ones getting periods, it would be a conversation, the same way like you're saying, like, oh, like there's like so much money into stuff that like men like need and stuff. Like I think that if men were the ones getting periods, like it wouldn't be so like ew and taboo and stuff.
Like it wouldn't be a problem. Like
yeah, I think that
no, it wouldn't. It wouldn't be it would be sorted. It would be sorted.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, I think even men think, why do you even need pads? They think that we can control our periods like they can control their pee. They think we can hold it in, and that's the issue, because nobody's actually ever told them.
Oh, hang on I know. Yeah, like in well, here, in the US, like we do health class in like when we're like 12, 13. And they talk about menstruation like a little bit, but like not that much. I remember sitting in health class, like, are you kidding me? We've been literally talking about boy puberty for the past like 3 days. Oh, and by the
Yeah,
way,
yeah,
girls, you get a period. It's like
yeah.
that's not enough education. Like it's just
No, there isn't. Yeah, you're right, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, boys want to know about their wet dreams more than
right.
women, about girls want to know about their periods.
I
So
know.
yeah, it is
That
interesting.
Yeah,
that
no, I definitely think that like the I think that to see a difference in society, kind of getting like female politicians into office, just getting like female leaders, those female perspectives. That's the thing. It's about having their perspective. Yeah, like here,
Mm,
for in the US, we just got a female vice president for the very first time. So like that's kind of um I feel like that's like almost like hope that maybe like the same way in like New Zealand, for example, like a woman was
mm,
here, like period products are not a luxury. I think that
mm.
if our country kind of like continues here to like be like, yes, like we need women in office, maybe we will start to see a difference here as well.
Yeah, and we need to talk about alternative methods as well, because
Mhm.
one-use products are just ruining the environment. We need to be
Mhm.
thinking about more environmentally friendly products. You know, I think more period products are found in on beaches within than I think it's like the second most found thing on a beach. Period products, whether it be an applicator or a pad. It
Yesterday,
takes
yeah, yesterday I went on a walk with my family and it was like a public park, and there was a tampon applicator on the floor, and I saw
oh
that and I was
no,
like, oh my gosh,
oh
just the
I know.
applicator, like just the plastic part.
Oh dear.
it's not even just more sustainable for the environment, it's more sustainable for the people who are using the products, you
Yeah,
know?
and cheaper. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in Kenya, we've always supplied washable reusables. They last up to 3 years. We get people seamstresses over there to make them, and then we deliver the packs and also the education as well. So how to use them, and the same with menstrual cups. We went to a prison in Kenya, a women's prison, and did a menstrual cup education and delivery, and they were like, oh, these are fantastic, and also for women who were homeless over there as well. So we need to be like really encouraging more of you as you're young to make the switch almost, and be like an advocate of, right, okay, I've used a menstrual cup, it's amazing. You don't, I mean, you apparently don't get as many cramps or things like that with menstrual cups. They last 10 years, whereas, we're waiting 5 to 800 years for one-use product that maybe you've only used for like, half an hour because you've had a really heavy bleed that's going to take 5 to 800 years to decompose. So we need to be, discussing, when we do discuss the education, to discuss alternative products as well.
Yeah, I think that for sure there needs like there has to be options, especially like I feel like some people think like the answer to period poverty is to just like give someone a box of tampons, but
Yeah,
no,
it's not.
because girls get their periods super young, like as young as like
Mm.
9 sometimes. Do you think a 9
8 or 9, yeah,
yeah, do you think
because
they're gonna use a tampon? No way. Like, like you
no,
have
exactly, they're babies.
options, variety,
Mm,
as well as like other things too. Not it's not even just about the menstrual products themselves. Like what about like painkillers, somewhere to wash
mm,
your hands, bathrooms, stuff like that, like for
exactly,
sure.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, because we have like a massive obesity epidemic, girls do start at 8 years old now, because the trigger is about 8 stone. So once you reach 8 stone, you the hormones trigger and you start your period. So girls are starting younger and younger, and also with the hormones they put in their food. You know what, everything, that's, all the foods that have got like pumped with everything. Um, so yeah.
Wow.
But what do
But
you
yeah,
think?
but like you say, like, you know, the whole issue is we should be putting the onus on the men
Yeah,
to
that's
change, you know.
um
So really have some real, you know, men advocates. You know, I mean, I don't know, have you seen our film?
yeah, I watched it.
What did you think?
It was really
The one with the
powerful.
boy?
Yeah, with like the where he gave her like the yeah. Um
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
it's really powerful. You know, I think we need more people like breaking down the stigma. That reminds me of this whole conversation. Gloria Steinem wrote this essay called If Men Could Menstruate, and I think everyone should check it out. It was really eye-opening to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Well, we are running a little bit short on time. However, I mean, this conversation has been just great. Uh, what else do you want to tell people like out there who maybe aren't very aware about period poverty and how um, devastating it really is?
Mm. I mean, I suppose if you, I mean, you know, all women, every girl has been caught short. You know, if you, so it's almost like people who are non-believers. What do you mean you can't afford it? There are only a few cents or a few pounds or whatever. But actually, you know, if you cannot afford food, you cannot afford period products. End of. But it might be not just that. It might be somebody who's in a coercive relationship, you know, who's you know, suffering domestic violence, or some, you know, who, you know, the partner is holding the purse strings, and they wanted to control them, so they're not going to give them that money for their period products because they don't want them to go out the house. You know, so there's not just period poverty because they can't afford it. There's other issues as well, cultural issues. You know, again, it's, you know, the stigma of asking for, you know, asking for money, you know, to buy products. But again, I suppose period poverty is the main issue of why, you know, we need to be tackling poverty as a whole issue, you know, and underneath, you know, poverty is food poverty, period poverty, fuel poverty, digital poverty, you know, you name it. You know, we're going to be around for a long time. We don't want to be here as a period poverty charity. We want to be here, you know, as an education, and not just have to supply products. But I think, you know, we need more advocates like yourself. We need more policy and procedures. We need more governments to take control. You know, we need more women in power to make that change, or men who are advocates for us. But mostly we need women in power, I think, because then that'll make the change. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the main thing: the education, and you know, it needs to come from the top, really.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed. This has
No
been
problem.
really awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem. Is there anything else you want to ask or anything?
No, I think we just want to say we really appreciate that everything that you do. We really appreciate you making time to talk to us today, and everything you do in both like Kenya and also the UK is very, very inspiring. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. You ought to have a look at our we have an ambassador program, so that is all over. You know, you can be anywhere in the world. So if you want to sign up for our next ambassador, so you just do what we do in
Yes.
your own area,
We
and
will
you just
absolutely include that information in when we post this on our website.
Yeah,
mm,
Yeah.
it'll all
okay,
be.
yeah,
So,
no problem,
well, thank you so much.
no problem, and thank you, and have a good day.
You.
Okay,
Right. You
okay,
too.
thank you.
All right. Bye.